If you're pouring your heart into your business, but your sales feel like a constant uphill battle, something has got to change and it needs to change fast. And it's probably not what you're assuming it is. There are three sneaky mistakes that even the most passionate and experienced entrepreneurs make. And these are mistakes that silently kill your conversions, repel potential clients, and leave you wondering, WTF, why isn't this working? But here's the good news. Once you spot these mistakes, you can fix them and fix them fast. And when you do, the sales start feeling effortless, aligned, and dare I say, even fun. So if you're tired of overcomplicating, over explaining, or feel awkward when it's time to sell, this episode is for you. Let's dive into the three biggest sales mistakes and the simple shifts that can change everything. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. Now, if you have not signed up for my once a year free live training event, 3 days to make bank online, literally this is your final chance. Day one is today, which is Tuesday, where you're listening, March 4th. So if you're already on March 5th, you've missed day one, but you still have a chance to be able to catch that replay, which I'm giving access to each day's replay for 48 hours for my people who have jobby jobs or in a time zone where they absolutely cannot make it work. But you need to get in here for even another reason. Besides the fact, I spill it, I spell it out, and you're going to start being able to implement these actionable things that I teach you quickly and get results. It is only available to be able to access the pre-launch sale of Selling with Soul, which is my signature program that I only launch once a year. And the only way to get access to that insane pre-launch sale pricing is by being registered to 3 days to make bank. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/make bank. You can swipe up. The link is here in the show notes. It's in the description on YouTube. It's in my link in bio on Instagram and TikTok. What are you doing? Join the thousands and thousands of others that are coming in to make bank in 2025 and setting things up so their success is inevitable. We all make assumptions about other people, especially people who we respect, people who they have something that we want, their lifestyle, some kind of desired outcome. It could be something about their body. It could be something about their bank account. It could be something about their relationships or even their confidence. And we can say things like, oh, she must be born with that kind of confidence and she's always been that way. Or one of the fun ones people assume about me, she must have been married to some rich dude and she's living off the alimony. I'm like, I've been engaged 3 times, but never married. Just saying. I've paid for more people than anyone has paid for me. Oh, and newsflash, I'm not paying for anybody anymore. So anyone who's thinking about that's a ride that you can take, that ride ended years ago. I had to learn my lesson the hard and expensive way with that one. So when we're looking at someone's business, whatever industry you're in, you could be in real estate, you could be a coach, you could be a healer, you could be in beauty services, you could be a practitioner. It's like, why does that person have a full client load? Why do they have all of these patients? Why is Tiffany have thousands and thousands of people who've signed up for Make Bank and her training and they're shouting it from the rooftops and everyone is so excited and she's able to get all these people? And then we can go, well, it's because of this this, that, or the other about this person. And what I'm going to tell you is it's because there's a real strategy behind it when it comes to selling, when it comes to marketing, whatever offer you have. It could be a brick and mortar business. It could be a restaurant. You could have a jewelry line. You could be in network marketing. You could be doing affiliate sales. You can be a coach. You could be an accountant. You can be a doctor, but you still have to let people know in a way that feels good to you and them that you exist. Otherwise, how do they know about your book? How would they know about your podcast? I mean, how would you guys know that I even exist if either someone didn't refer you to me or you didn't find me somewhere in the digital space, or maybe you did meet me in person at some kind of like a speaking event, but some way you had to find me. And we want to make sure we get qualified people to find us. And then once they find us, we have to make sure that strategically we are setting things up and sharing language and messaging that really deeply connects with that ideal client so that they convert into being a paying client. Because last time I checked, you want a business that makes bank. You don't want a business that keeps you broke. Like that is not available, certainly not on my watch. And that is, by the way, what Selling with Soul, my signature program, which officially launches in a pre-launch sale tomorrow on March 5th, exclusively to my bankers. And I only offer that once a year. But why it's my signature program goes along with the story I'm going to tell you today. And while I'm sharing the story that's very cringy and embarrassing to me, by the way, is you are going to learn from my mistakes that I made and be able to clean up these mistakes that I guarantee you're probably making two of the three. And don't be surprised if you're making all three. I consult for major mega brands, like multi-billion-dollar brands. And I also coach and work with small business owners, people starting from scratch, people scaling from 6 figures to 7 figures. And I see these mistakes even with brands that have like top tier teams, spend hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing. And what happens is when you're making one of these mistakes or you miss the mark and you're spending that much money, you end up losing more money. So the great thing is if you're early on and you don't have a big like cash burn going yet, these mistakes haven't cost you too much yet. So I guess that's my way of finding a silver lining for you. Okay, let's get to the whole thing. So when I left being a TV newscaster, which that was a whole era in of itself, I was like sick of being broke, sick of eating top ramen every day, and I wanted to make some coin. And I had a lot of friends from college that I saw driving around in company cars. They were wearing cute little suits and they were going to dinners and all sorts of things. And I was like, what are they doing? I want that. Like, that looks legit, because I was so tired of being impoverished, making $17,000 a year. And they were doing a form of outside sales in the pharmaceutical and medical world. So I interviewed for 50 companies before someone hired me, by the way. When I really want something, I will keep going with it and I'm determined to get it. And that also is a personality trait that has served me to this day. Like when I really want it and I have to want it in my bones. And that's what I tell people who are inside Make Bank. If you know you really want to change in your life, you really want to change your financial story, your money story, no matter what decade of life that you're in, but it's something you can feel in your bones. Like you don't want your current story to be your reality anymore, then you have to be willing to do what it takes to change that story. No one's going to do it for you. No one's coming to save you. You have to just determine that it's time and I'm doing it and I'm no longer settling for this old story anymore. So when I went through all of this training and my first job was with Merck Pharmaceuticals, I do shout them out because of how much money they invest in training in their people. I can't speak to them to this day, but I will say, I mean, it would be equivalent to $250,000 today. They take it very seriously. You have to take ethics classes. And I know people feel some type of way about pharma companies, but I got to say, like, my training was insane. Like, I feel like I could have been a pharmacist at the end. We were sequestered for 10 weeks, and that didn't even include like your continuing sales training and education and ethics training. 10 freaking weeks. Like, you literally, people who had kids, like, they weren't coming home. Like, they would have to fly their kids in with the other parent to visit them. Literally 10 weeks. They paid for everything. It was insane. And it was intense. Oh, and every single test that you took, passing was a 90% or higher. And I am not a good test taker. And it was very stressful when you press that button because I think you could fail one test one time and get a redo. And that was it. Anything else, you're out. It was that strict. I don't know if it is to this day. My guess is it is because you're dealing with serious stuff. You're talking to doctors about medication. And if you don't know the stuff, they don't want you out talking to the people who prescribe it as it should be. But we know not all pharma medical companies are like that. I digress. It sounds like I'm doing an ad for them. I'm not, but I'll always shout out like when I've had a good experience. And I'll also do it if there was a bad one. The end. No. So I went in the field, and even though I had all these role playing, I had semi-privates with Tony Robbins. I mean, it was insane. But going from a classroom and going into reality and doing the thing, it's very different. No different in college, right? I went to Emerson for broadcast journalism. Shout out Emerson Mafia. And I had internships. I mean, I did all sorts of things. But me going and reporting on my first news story for real, where I'm being paid and I'm under contract, very different than being in the learning phase, which is why so many of you stay in the learning phase. I have to figure it out. I have to get another certification. I need to research this. I need to do this. Da, 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 da. Oh, I can't do this until I know this because it's safer than actually doing the thing and putting it out there. But you cannot learn truly, and you cannot master that skill, that talent, any of it, unless you're doing it. Think about cooking. And I hate cooking, but I know if I wanted to be a good cook, you've got to burn shit. You've got to use too much of this, not enough of that. You have got to do it over and over and over again. And that's how you end up with amazing recipes. It is no different when it comes to selling and marketing your business. And this is a skill that I teach you that'll pay off for the rest of your life. That's what you should be investing in, is a skill, not more information that you're just going to lose in that noggin of yours, but a skill that as long as you're committed to practicing it over and over again, it'll continue to pay off in dividends. You will never not make a shit ton of money once you know how to sell in a way that feels genuine to you and your ideal client. So I'm in the field and I was terrified and I was not good. And I was sweating so much that I had to put deodorant on my face because where I end up sweating is on my upper lip and my nose. And you know that expression, never let them see you sweat? I mean, you don't want someone seeing you sweating when you're selling or presenting them something. It makes you look shady. It certainly doesn't make you look competent. But then the more I knew I was sweating, the more I was sweating. And I already was on medication for anxiety, which had a side effect of sweating at the time. So it was a sweaty damn mess in that pantsuit. And I was doing everything to try not to sweat. And then my boss, because my numbers were not good because I was so in my head and I didn't feel like I could be fully genuine. It felt manipulative. Not that they were teaching me to be manipulative, but the language didn't feel right to me. Following everything by the book felt like robotic and sincere. And I have never been good at being fake. And it just didn't fit with like my empath introvert personality style. And, I was going to not be able to pay for my apartment if I lost this job. Like I was in deep with this company. There is no way I was going to lose this as I was first, starting to make coin. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to have to take a different approach to being able to sell, because if it doesn't feel good to me, I'm going to continue acting all weird and janky and uncomfortable and insecure. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I have to find a way to sell that feels good to me, and therefore it'll feel good to the person who I am speaking to about my products. All right. And this was in person. So this works when I'm teaching you in person and online, because obviously I do it today. And this is when my famous emotional based sales techniques were born, from that long ago, that I have massaged and tweaked over all of these years. And that's why I can emphatically tell you that they work in well over 200 different industries, okay, which is insane now. Thousands and thousands of people have been taught these and implemented these, and well over $280 million in sales transactions. So, first mistake is selling from desperation, not inspiration. So, here's what it looks like. You're trying so hard to like close the sale and get the person to sign up and get the person to trust you and get the person to believe in you and get the person to buy from you and not someone else, because you need the money. You have like a needy energy. You need the money. You don't want to get fired. You need it in order to feel like that your business is actually going to be okay. You need it to pay your mortgage. You need it for every single ego reason possible. But then you come off as being needy or pushy, even if you're not saying things directly that are like sleazy or high pressure. It's the vibe you give off. I mean, the vibe I gave off got me kicked out of offices. And when I started my first business, which is an all B2B sales, business to business sales, and I turned the tables and started profiting big time off of all of these pharma and medical and health brands, I had to do these pitch decks and fly and do presentations. And I pitched, I am not exaggerating, 50 companies where I was already well respected in that industry, and I only closed 2 deals. P.S. This is not good. And I spent so much money. They aren't going to pay for my flights. This is why I love the online space. You don't have to like spend money flying to conferences, doing like 27 slide decks, and then end up not getting a deal. And it's because after every single no I got, not right now, maybe later, we went in another direction, we think you're great, but my neediness, my attachment to the next opportunity, the next person, the next business got greater and greater and greater. It was like, oh my God, I need this one to work. Oh my God, the last 5 didn't work. I need this one to work. And then my confidence went down further and further with each one. And people sense desperation energetically, don't you? And it repels rather than it attracts. Think of yourself when you've been sold to, or even if you're scrolling and you come across videos, or you're even on like a sign up page and it just feels so pushy, you're turned off, aren't you? Versus when someone is just talking to you and sharing about their offer. And it's like, listen, I want to see if this is a great fit for you. Here's the information. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm truly detached from it either way. So here's how you stay detached so you're not in desperado mode, okay? You have to shift your focus from like getting the sale, getting the close, getting the person, getting the thing, to serving. You've got to remind yourself that ultimately, when I operate out of a place, out of a space of service, I will eventually receive the abundance, because that is part of law of attraction. Like, that is just part of doing good in this world. You do good and you show up and you continue to do the things and you follow a proven strategy. You can't be like doing it from your ass and not like expecting to get results. Like, that's not a good plan, especially when there is a very clear step-by-step plan and system and technique for you to follow. You want to grab that, okay? But you need to look at, I am doing the best I can on any given day. I am showing up, I am serving, I am sharing, and I know that the right people will be attracted to that and it will happen. And I don't need to coerce, convince anyone to work with me or buy from me. You never want to be in a convincing energy. You want to compel people to buy from you. So I want you to shift your focus also on to your why, right? Why your offer helps people. And this can be whether you are working for another company, you're selling an affiliate product, it could be a service. It does not matter. It doesn't have to be in like a healing profession for you to be, helped with the why. Like in pharmaceuticals, I could look at, well, this drug helps prevent heart attacks, right? Like that's a little more obvious in terms of why. But like when you're looking even at what I do here, like with my signature program, Selling with Soul, that launches tomorrow, and even you coming to my free live training, 3 days to make bank online online, which you need to be over there right now. Or you need to let me know and take a screenshot of this episode that you are in Make Bank and you actually followed through with the homework I gave you to get additional entries for a $13,000 giveaway. And you are watching an episode and you are writing a review on Apple Podcasts of the show. You are tapping the 5 stars on Spotify and you are taking a screenshot and sharing it in your Instagram, Facebook stories, and TikTok. You're doing the same with YouTube on ProjectME TV, subscribing, sharing the show, and that will get you additional entries for all of our insane Lux giveaways that we're doing over the 3 days together. But when it comes to why should you show up for this training? Why should you do Selling with Soul? It's about how it is going to help you achieve your core desired result where you want to be financially free. You want true wealth. You want to be in the energy of you knowing that you have so many clients and customers pouring in, that you have elevated your lifestyle, that you are not having to sacrifice and be scrappy and work 12 hours a day in order for you to get the clients and cash pouring into your business so that you have a business that elevates your life versus sucks your energy from your life, that you want to be able to be in control of your schedule and time and not trade all of your time for money. That is my why, ultimately, so that you're financially empowered. Because I have to tell you, aside from like obviously having your health about you mentally and physically and spiritually, being financially empowered where you can do what you want when you want and you're not dependent on any person, place, thing, job, or institution for money ever again is the most empowering, fucking abundant thing that you can do. And it's the best way that you can also pay it forward and serve the world because you have excess money to do other things to help other people while you're also living a Lux life yourself. So another thing that you can do is use affirmations or energy practices to approach selling from an energy of abundance, not scarcity, right? I'm doing good in this world by sharing my necklace line. And you could think, God, that who cares? No one needs to have another necklace. Well, what is the good behind your line? It makes someone feel so amazing when they look in the mirror. It reminds them to really care and nurture themselves. Like there is always a deeper reason why you are creating those things. And if you don't have a deeper reason, you might not be doing something that you need to be doing because you need to be connected to it for you to be able to sell it to a high volume of people. I mean, unless you're a sociopath or a narcissist. And if so, I would prefer you don't listen to the show. Mistake number 2, talking features instead of feelings. Yes, I know. It's so easy to talk about features and facts and stats because it's just, easier to talk that way. It's in the forefront of our mind and it's less vulnerable than to talk about feelings. So I used to do this when I was being by the book, right? With what I was taught when I was in outside sales and even in my first business. I just was focusing on all the numbers. Isn't that what they want? Is like the numbers and the stats and, everything that all the studies that show this with patients and show that with patients and how much money I'm going to make you and how many pieces of content you're going to get and blah, 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 blah. People are glazed over. And guess what? Everyone is presenting that way to these people. You don't stand out at all. There's nothing different about you except for you're different. You're a different human being. But if you're also using like kind of scripts and mimicking what they're saying you need to do and you don't make it your own, you're just another number and you are not emotionally connecting with the buyer. And if someone is not emotionally connected where you are creating a high trust factor, a respect factor, a likability factor, they ain't going to buy from you, honey. So here's what it looks like. Listing all the features of your product or service, how many modules, what's included, all the bonuses. It has this kind of a class. Oh, you're going to be able to have this much skin improvement by this percentage. Oh, the average person who works with me has, 15% increase in blank. I'm not saying not to include that stuff when you're sharing your messaging, but that is certainly not what makes the people lean in. People buy based on emotions, not features. They need to feel feel how their life or business will change. Think of yourself and your own buying behaviors. Why do you even listen to this podcast? Even though it's free, so what? It's still an expenditure of your time and energy. Why do you listen to it? It makes you feel a certain way. Yeah, you do learn shit, obviously, because I teach tangible shit in here and you learn interesting stuff. But ultimately, it's how it makes you feel. So here's how you're going to fix it. I need you to start speaking to the transformation of your offers and not the technicalities. Let me tell you something. I work with a lot of practitioners, a lot of people in the skin and beauty space, a lot of people in the healing space, and of course, a lot of people that are multi-passionate. And you go down the path of you're going to be more confident and you're going to have this much better skin elasticity or melasma, or you're going to be able to actually like have a look that you feel good about. And this is my unique process for cutting hair. This is my unique process for getting you this transformation from feeling lost in your life to finding your purpose. No one really cares how you're going to do it. They care that they feel that you are the right person and that they trust you to get them the result. And in order for them to trust you, people have to know that you really get them, because we all think we're inherently unique. I mean, and technically we are, but we all think we have a unique set of problems, a unique set of circumstances. And we need to know that whoever we're giving our money to, especially if it's a lot of money, you understand me. You understand the uniqueness about me. You understand my problems. You understand the results that I'm looking for. And I feel very heard and seen by you. And that is not going to happen by talking in technicality. So you would be using language like, imagine how it will feel when you wake up every morning seeing that you've had sales through the night. Even if it's $10 here, 50 there, 270 here, all of that adds up. And now you've got $1,500 coming in per week. Then you have other weeks that are at $3,500 and you just keep building and building from there. And it happened while you were busy luxuriating, while you were busy sleeping, working out. There is no better feeling than that. That is true wealth. That's true financial freedom. Okay, I just did an example of that for you. Share client success stories that reflect their desired outcome. And I mean a true story, right? And it would be even better if you had like photos or videos to go with it, because we all love a show and tell. Plus, it makes it more real for the person. So what we did in the medical world and is still done, and my other company still does stuff like this, but we call them patient profiles. So they didn't have to even be real patients, by the way, because when it's a newer drug or a newer medical device or a newer supplement, you don't necessarily have a ton of patients, to be able to use that are willing to have, obviously their medical stuff shared publicly, which is understandable. But a lot of you who have a new offer out or you are brand new altogether, whether it's coaching or something else, you don't have testimonials yet, but you can share an example of somebody who would be an ideal client, what you would do to help them in order to get to their results. And you're not like lying and claiming that's a client of yours. You're painting a patient profile, a client profile. Also, you can use for testimonials people you've helped for free. It's a testament to your work, even if they've not paid you. Okay. So in Selling with Soul, what I do is we focus on connecting your audience's deepest desires so your offer feels like the obvious next step for them. That is one of the key skills that I'm teaching you in there, which, like I said, it launches tomorrow. And if you want access, which I'm telling you, you do, you want access to the pre-launch sale and the bonuses that you get from being in the pre-launch sale, not to mention the pricing, you have to be registered for 3 days to make bank online. Even if you're watching the 48-hour replay, as long as you're registered, you will have access. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/make bank. Swipe up. It's in the show notes. And it is also in the description here on YouTube on Project Me TV. Mistake number 3. I know some of you are already feeling called out, but this will really call you out. And then you'll you'll go, oh, dang. Okay. Tiffany does really get me on a deep level. You guys are nuts. You are my fellow crazies. You are my empaths, my multi passionates, my overthinkers, my overanalyzers that go into procrastination, that go into perfectionism, that really get stuck in this entire loop. Then you get mad at yourself for being in the loop because you're not doing what you need to do in order to move the needle. But then you tell yourself you don't know where to start and you get so overwhelmed with everything out there. And then I go, you found me. So now you don't have an excuse because I simplify it all for you. And now you can't use that. Okay. Fear of being too much. So you hold back and you might not even realize you're doing it. You may think, oh no, everyone tells me I'm loud and proud and shout my offers from the rooftop. And I'm always talking about my business. I'm always talking about my products. I'm always talking about my weight loss coaching. Always talking about something is not the same as you energetically fully showing up and shining bright. Here's what I mean by this. Downplaying your offer, avoiding follow-ups, or softening your language because you don't want to come across pushy or annoying or talking about your offer too much and like turning off your audience or giving them the ick or seeming like, you're so full of yourself and who do you think you are? That is what I mean. And I can guarantee literally, unless you've coached with me privately for a long time and I'm like watching your shit and you know who you are doing this. I did the same thing. I didn't want to bother when I first started in sales. Here, I'm calling on like world-renowned physicians, like chief of cardiology at like major hospitals in Los Angeles. And I wasn't nervous about speaking to someone, I guess, with that pedigree because I was a TV newscaster. I mean, like I've interviewed presidents, and celebrities. So like, I think that was my selling point, by the way, to Merck, one of them. Like, listen, I am not going to have an intimidation nervous factor about talking to the most established physicians and surgeons in the world. Like it literally won't phase me because that's already out of my system. Now, what I didn't realize is that I would be terrified selling to them, bothering them, coming across as like that annoying rep and like telling them shit that they already know and like being just not useful. And I still have that come up when it comes to you guys with the podcast. I never want to tell you basic shit that you already know and come across like condescending or insulting, or you feel like your time was wasted because you didn't really learn anything because I just like told you some of the same basic shit. I have that tickles in my mind a lot of times still to this day. So I know that your asses have that too. And showed up when I started my first business as well, is I would like overthink. I would be overly performative. I would vomit, like word vomit, presentation vomit, oversell, overkill, over deliver, over give in order to compensate for my fear of not being enough, wanting them to know that I'm different. And then the fear of being too much came from me, how I showed up in my energy. So while I was word vomiting, being performative, I was not being Tiffany. I wasn't truly being my unique self. I was playing a part. I'm sure some of you have heard this term because I know a lot of therapists listen to this show. I was masking, right? I was wearing a costume. I was masking. And I did that because I thought if I was truly me in the way I speak and how blunt I am, and that, an occasional swear word may slip out. I'm pretty good though about turning that on and off. But like, I didn't want to offend anyone. I wanted to be PC and all of that. It made me overdo it and come across as this like nervous chatterbox. All right. So why is this a problem? Holding back creates confusion or disinterest. If you are not exuding and communicating verbally and non-verbally excitement about your offer, whether it is free, whether it's $100,000, whether it's $5,000, whether it's $80, why in the hell would your ideal client be excited to buy it? It prevents people from seeing the true value you have to offer, and it takes away the feeling of what I said earlier about compelling repelling them, magnetizing them to the thing. If you don't show up in the energy of what they're wanting more of, why would they lean in to even hear what you have to say about your offer? And if they're not leaning in to hear what you have to say, they're certainly not going to stick around to find out how you can help them with your thing. So here's how you're going to fix it. Get really clear on the tangible value you're providing. Of course, I go all into this in much more detail in live coaching and everything inside Selling with Soul, but I want to give you an immediate head start right now. What I mean by the value and it being tangible, it being sticky, it can't be about the person feeling more energized. I'm not saying someone doesn't want to have more energy, but I need you to go a layer deeper than that. What do they believe will change in their life if they have more energy? And that's where the dollars are. The deeper you go, the dollars will flow. The more descriptive you are, the more dollars will appear. Okay. So think of yourself of things that you desire. Okay. Let's say it's the consistent clients and cash coming in. No more chasing and wondering where that next client is going to come from, what your next month is going to look like in terms of revenue. You already know what your baseline is because of how everything is flowing in with consistency and reoccurring revenue. You want all that. Okay. Like we can talk about that, but the why are you wanting it? Because that is what gives you the sense of peace, the sense of freedom, the sense of wealth. Then you can book the trips in advance. Then you can go move into a different house or neighborhood. Then you can go buy your parent a house because you already know you have that. Then you can really future plan in the lifestyle that you want to because you know that you have that consistency of income coming in for your business and exactly how to create it. That was a good example. So you need to run with that. Reframe your follow-ups as support and not pressure, okay? Because when you are following up with a prospective client, whether it's a business, whether it's a person, you're checking in. Look at it as a check-in. When someone that you're friends with, you've not heard from them, they've kind of ghosted you, but this is someone you care about, instead of assuming that they hate you, that you were too much, they're out, they're not interested, you're too intense for them, you've turned them off, blah, 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 blah. How about you assume that something's up and they're not okay, or maybe that they're really busy, or maybe they have ADHD and they have so many things going on in their mind that you need to put yourself at the top of their mind again. And do a check-in reach out, a check-in DM, a follow-up email, a phone call, friendly reminder. I know how many times that I've appreciated someone doing that with me, and I would have ended up missing out on like going to a retreat I wanted to go to, or a mastermind, or a program I wanted to be a part of. And I was really appreciative because I could tell by the energy of it, it wasn't like some high pressure sales tactic. I want you to practice making bold, clear offers without over-explaining. My fellow trauma survivors, some of you know I have complex PTSD. I also am medicated for depression, and I've had 500 years of therapy. More fun facts about Tiffany. One of the traits of someone who grew up in a dysfunctional household, because we did not feel heard or seen or understood, we can end up over talking and over explaining because we want to make sure someone understands us, or people who've gone through narcissistic abuse in relationships, because we were so gaslit, we want to make sure people understand like what we're saying, and we need to keep saying it so that we feel if we keep repeating ourselves, someone will really get us and hear us and understand us. And then that transfers over into your business life, which is why we also go through this kind of stuff in Selling with Soul, because strategy alone is not enough to get you making the major coin that you are going to set yourself up to make in 2025. Like, this money shit runs deep, okay? Obviously, I have a whole podcast that clearly talks about this stuff a lot. So I want you to own your own value. I want you to share your stuff without hesitation, where you're excited, you're enthralled to share it, because you know the more you share it, the more of the right people who are meant to work with you, are meant to buy from you, are going going to hear it and therefore get closer to the result that they're wanting in their life, in their business, with their body, with their mental health, with their relationships, whatever it may be. And if you want to shift this focus and you really want to make sure that you learn and hone this skill of being able to sell out of a genuine space, because that's part of the problem. You feel like you're being manipulative, you're lying. People are going to think you're money hungry. People are going to think, oh, all she cares about now is money. Oh, he's just after my money. Oh my God, look at how much money he's charging. Who do they think they are? And all of this crap, that goes away when you truly learn the skill to sell from your heart and not using any tactics. For example, like I have done for you word for word sales scripts and objection handlers in Selling with Soul, but this is not the typical stuff that you may have been given by a company before or you see out there where it's filled with all sorts of gimmicks. All they are questions that you're asking people and holding space to be able to hear their answers and help them get clear on what it is they want and for you to determine it's a match. Because again, we don't convince people to buy from us. We compel them to buy from us if they are the right fit. And you have to, one, attract enough people that are ideal. And then two, you have to compel them to buy from you. And that's exactly what I'm teaching you. And I'm giving you a head start inside 3 days to make bank, obviously in this episode as well. Let me know if you love this. Let me know how you're feeling about Make Bank. Obviously, if you're a Make Banker, make sure you leave your 5-star review of the show on Apple Podcasts. Put your name or social media handle in the review so that we know it's you. So you can get the extra giveaway entries of our $13,000 giveaway. If you're a Spotify listener, that's okay. You can't leave a written review on there, but you can tap the 5 stars, take a screenshot of the show and share it on social media. Any platform is fine. Just make sure that you tag me at Project Me with Tiffany. Same for Project Me TV on YouTube. Subscribe to the show, leave a comment, take a screenshot and share it with someone, and that will also count towards your entry. And I have another juicy money-making episode coming out this Thursday, and you're not going to want to miss that. So wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you so much. And remember, the more you give out of the energy of appreciation, the more abundance you'll receive in return. It would mean the world to me if you would take 30 seconds and write a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help our special show here reach more people who need it. Talk soon.